Lovely hot day, a little bit too hot, and this will be another garden update, but a little bit different this time. I'm busy making something. Head gardener found this online plans about how to build a nesting box for Ruru, which are our native, are they owls or moreporks? I can't remember. I have heard them around here, so it's worth putting up a nesting box and seeing if we can get a couple into the garden. So I bought a sheet of plywood, or half a sheet, and I'm just about to start cutting it up. I don't have a table saw, so what I do is I do it the same way as I did the TARDIS when I made that. I nail a guide to the timber and just run the saw down against that, and that gives me a nice straight cut. So I've marked it all out. I've checked all the measurements a couple of times, so I'm ready to sort of chop this up now and start building it. It's a wet and rainy day today, so I'm in Big Shed and I am finishing up this Ruru box. I just basically followed the instructions that came off the website, pretty much exactly. The only thing I did differently is I added a little strip along the top here because the roof of this slopes downwards, and of course if you've got a slope down like this, unless you bevel the back edge of this plywood, you have a gap at the top, and I was just worried about water running down there, so I just put on a little strip. I don't think it'll matter because this will be up in our woodshed anyway. I'm guessing this flange here is so that you can put mounting screws, but that'll be up under the roof, so I don't think this is going to get wet anyway. And that's the entrance hole there with a suitable perch outside it. They have a screwed on inspection cover on one side, but I didn't like the idea of having screws in there and having to go and get a screwdriver every time you wanted to check what was happening. So I've used a stainless steel bolt, and I just made a little pin. And this hole is so that you can inspect inside the box and clean it out between seasons. So if something does start nesting in here, you can keep it clean, which helps keep it all free of diseases and things like that, I guess. That should just go back in there. I'll probably put a little bit of string on this. I'll put a little hook and tie that on maybe, just so it doesn't get lost. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. So what I'll do is, there is a little bit of debate about this, whether or not you should paint bird boxes. And the general idea seems to be it's better to just paint the outside, don't paint the inside, where there's any chance of the birds ingesting the paint, I guess, or fumes or things like that. I don't think fumes are going to be a problem on this. I doubt there'll be anything in this season. The other thing you do, which is worth mentioning, is you put bark in the bottom of it. So 50 mil of loose bark goes in the bottom of this. Apparently that'll stop other birds nesting in there. But the Ruru don't mind. I've just noticed I've got a screw there that's almost coming through. This is on an angle, of course, so it's a little bit disappointing. I might just fix that one up. Yeah, but really there wasn't much to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Metal-X protect the outside of it, which is the same protectant I used on the Riley frame. It's sort of green stuff. This is tannalized timber anyway, so it should be pretty protected, but I'm going to use this just on the outside, and that'll help protect it, and it'll also give it a sort of green tinge, which helps it blend in a little bit more, a bit more camouflaged. But I think that's what I'll do for the rest of the day, and then I'll leave it a week or so before I put it up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything actually lives in it. We have heard Morepork here before, just not this year that we can remember. So it should be a good area for them. I think they're pretty common. So it'd be kind of neat if we can attract them. We've got all sorts of other birds in the garden. Tuis love the flax. There's blackbirds in my grapevine. There's birds all over the place. There were birds in my passion fruit. But I like the birds, so it's good to try and attract some of the birds. So this is all the bits for the box cut out. I still need to drill some holes in it. There's a hole in the front and a hole in the side with an access cover, and that's so that you can clean it out between seasons and you can open it up to have a look to see if anything's actually living in there. Cut it all out. I use the bandsaw as well for some of it. Tomorrow I'll sand all the edges and it all gets screwed together. I guess I'll glue it as well. And what I'll do to pre-drill the screw holes is I'll make a little jig, I think, so that I can slide it over the edges and run the drill down it, make a little drill guide. I think reading up on these sort of bird houses and boxes and things, it's to do with the size of the opening, what creatures will actually use it, what birds. So this needs a 100mm hole, which is quite big, a sort of 4-inch hole. And you put bark in the bottom of it because apparently normal birds don't want to nest in the bark, but the Ruru do. I looked it up. It's a native Morepork, which is a type of owl, apparently. So hopefully I can finish that off tomorrow. I am wondering if I can use my Metal X preservative on the outside. This is tantalized plywood. This is outside plywood, so it should be fine. But I think an extra coat of that on the outside shouldn't do any harm. I don't think I'll put it on the inside. I don't know if it gives off fumes or anything that might put off the birds. Time for another garden update. Actually in Big Shed, because I've been working on the car today, but wanted to do an update on the garden. We'll just sort of wander around. It's a lovely day. The weather's been all over the place, so some days have been raining and quite unpleasant. Other days have been nice and hot. And some days it starts off raining and then the sun comes out and it gets very humid. But today's been nice and sunny all day. And it's New Year's Day, so it's actually quite quiet. But you can see everything's growing like mad, especially because of all the water and sunshine. So sunflowers coming up. Either pumpkins or gourds, I'm not actually sure. Walnut tree's doing really well. Down here there's another, either squash or gourds or something that's sending out shoots in all directions. The apricot tree doesn't have much on it in the way of fruit. There's a couple of things there. There's another one there. Another one there. So maybe next year it'll start doing a bit better. I think the head gardener is going to move all of this. Oh, I suspect that watering can has been sitting in the sun a bit long. It's probably terribly brittle. We actually have a tub here full of seaweed, which I'm not sure how long it's been sitting here for now. So that might be good to use as fertilizer now. I'm not sure. I would say it needs to be watered down a bit, but I may get another little garden shed, a slightly smaller one, just to go in here, just to use as storage. So I've got some old car parts, torque tubes and bits and pieces that I don't need them, but I don't want to throw them out. So it'd be good to have a little bit of storage there. I can put things like that, old wheels, old tyres. This down here is our pile to go to the tip, which we need to do at some point. Down around here. It's really starting to become a garden that's nice to walk through now. I'm still trying to sort out why it gets so damp here. I think it is because this is just a slightly low spot, so I started doing a trench. When we go to the tip, I want to look out for some of that drain flow pipe, because I'm not sure you can buy it in short lengths. You have to buy big reels of it, and it's not cheap, and we only need, I don't know, 4 or 5 meters. And that'll just run the water off down there, which is where the little creek is, a little drain. We've moved part of the shade cloth off our little fern garden now, because this tree has got big enough to help shade things, and you can see it was reaching the top of that cloth and being a bit stunted, so we've moved that now. The vine going up the cat cage. The cats never really went up there anyway. Cattle in the fields. And this is what I've been doing a little bit of work on. It wasn't too much work to build. So that up there is a Ruru box. So a Ruru is a native Morepork, which is a kind of owl. So we made a nesting box, so hopefully we'll get some Moreporks living in there. I don't know how they discover it. I guess they fly around looking for food and they come across it and think, yeah, that's a good place to nest. So head gardener found plans online, so I just made it based on the plans. We're going to replace this dowel with a piece of more natural sort of stick for them. The outside of it's all been stained. It's treated plywood anyway, so it should be fine, especially because it's not in the elements here. It's all sheltered. And this here, pull this pin out, there's a little inspection hatch, so that you can check if there's anything in there, and also what you're supposed to do between seasons is clean it out. You can see that inside there's bark. Apparently that's what you put in there because the Ruru will nest in it. Whoops, but other birds won't. I suspect it'll just be a spider hotel, but we'll see. What's happening down here? That's where the filthy cats live. You can see how grown up the neighbour's field is as well. Got cattle over there. You might just be able to see them just in the distance there. I've been having really bad hay fever, but I've just discovered a new nasal spray called Demister that works really well, but I still have a little bit of a cough. Oh, there's some cats. Hello, cats. Jasper. 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 No, he's not talking. Little courtyard's doing quite well. It's funny to think that everything was so small when we first planted it, and it's all growing up now and starting to get bigger. I've started trimming these hedges just to keep them a little bit neater. I need to trim the top of that one. This one as well I've trimmed. So the plum trees aren't doing too well. There's a couple of fruit there. The pear tree looks like it's doing pretty well, so there's quite a bit of fruit on this. This is the almond. And I'm guessing I still haven't looked up what actually happens with these when you know to harvest them. Do they just fall off and you pick the nuts up off the ground? I don't know. But... oh, okay, there's a lot more plums on that side. Oh, here's Milo coming to help me. There's lilies, and this is an apple, dwarf apple. And then my grapevines are doing pretty well. So I've been thinning them out. I still need to thin them out a little bit more. Here somewhere. Can you see them? There's a bird's nest, some baby birds. And I've been trying out these grape bags to see how well these work. To keep the birds off and the insects off. I'm hoping I don't have to put them around every single bunch. I think just having them there will be enough to put off birds. Then got our sun umbrella out. We're slowly trimming back this hedge. We'll get rid of it eventually. But for now we're sort of chopping it away a bit at a time. Come on, Milo. Come. Good boy. So the head gardener's thinned out the tomatoes for me. Nice strawberry. So I've got tomatoes coming. The avocado, yeah, there seems to be things growing on that. I think a lot of them have fallen off, so I don't know if that means the tree's not doing so well. We'll just have to wait and see. We've got broad beans. And these broccolini things. I think this is a capsicum. So you can see how cutting back the hedge will give us quite a bit more garden in there. Veggie garden. The biggest problem is getting too much of everything all at once. So broccoli, for example, we had too many of them and just got sick of them. Lemon tree's still going. The lime has finished now. Well, the last season's lot have finished, but we should be good for the next season. Passion fruit everywhere. And I think our asparagus is pretty much finished now. So we're letting the ferns go again, and then when they die off I'll trim them back. We'll have sweet corn soon. Here's a broccoli we did harvest, and these are like the little secondary shoot things. More tomatoes. Sweet corn's nearly ready to harvest. And then courgette here. I think we've only got this one, which is good because you only really need one and you get enough off that. And I think that's about it. Oh yes, and my grapefruit tree looks like finally we'll get grapefruit off it, which I'm looking forward to. So this is the last citrus tree to fruit. So that'll be nice. And then, as I say, loads and loads and loads of passion fruit, but it looks like there's too many of them on there and I think it's dying off a bit. So I don't know how many of those are going to ripen. But yeah, I think that's a good place to finish now.